this video about like mobile gaming, and this is the video pretty much everyone refers to when they talk about Diablo Immortal and how they financial. Now, what I want to do is I want to go through this video and I want to see which of these things Diablo Immortal is doing, and I say all of it. Well, let's see. Okay, this is Let's Go Whaling, tricks for monetizing mobile game players with free to play. Connects. Pocket Gamer, Helsinki.
Hello, I'm here to talk about monetization. It's Let's Go Whaling. It is about a summary of a huge bunch of behavioral psychology. So the tricks on how to monetize a game well. Some of you will probably be slightly shocked by all the tricks.
The thing is, I don't know if he did this. I'm not sure because I saw it in bits, right? It's like, and it's been a while, so I haven't seen it forever. I don't remember if he's doing it to make people aware, or if he's doing it to teach people how to do it.
I've listed here, but I'll leave the morality of it out of the talk. We can discuss it if we have time later.
Yeah.
So let's dive right in. First off, Wall Street trader and oil sheikh got into a fight. Who won? You guys did. This is to remind you that a lot of the spend comes from the high paying guys, the whales.
Yep.
And the very best way
Everyone knows
to
this,
get
for sure.
these guys to spend is to get two rich competitive guys to fight each other and tell them, I'll give you a slight upside if you pay me.
Yeah.
Next off, to remind you...
Let's see. So Diablo definitely does that. I mean, that's kind of like a by default, but yeah.
That the best way to make sure of both your retention and your monetization is to make sure you have enough of an in-game economy in there. The 1,000 up there is actually clearly lowballing it. Top grossing games have in-game economies worth tens of thousands.
Yep.
That's how you can...
So Lost Ark is being nice because they limited it to less than 1,000, right?
Keep people in there. They have lots of things to do, to stuff to upgrade, to progress along, and that's how you can make them spend a lot as well. Since you can, for instance, give a huge discount on something. You know, this stuff is worth 150 euros, but now I'll give it to you for 5. If your whole in-game economy is worth less than 150, you cannot do that, of course. So now a few of these. Like frameworks on how to think of stuff. I've seen suggestions to model what you sell according to Bartle types. I assume you're all familiar with Bartle type.
So monetizing by Bartle type, whatever that means, but conveniences. So does WoW sell convenience? Yes. Yes, it does. Does it sell customization? Yeah. Yeah. Mogs and stuff like that. Competitive advantage. Oh yeah, baby. $25 Rift runs, let's go. Content. Does it sell content? No, just the way you experience content, I guess. Or reaching certain content faster, but it doesn't actually sell content as far as I know. So okay, we found something Blizzard Diablo Immortal does not do.
The achievers want to progress in the game, the socializers want to speak to other people, the killers just want to compete and kill each other, and the explorers are the guys who are after stories and experiences. So this is from Will Luton's suggestion to you sell convenience to the achievers, which really means faster progress, customization to socializers, hats and stuff, competitive advantage, that is pay to win for the killers, and content for explorers. Now, the reason I highlighted convenience up there or progress is that most of your sales will be here. Customization, hats and stuff,
100%.
nice, but
if you have a shit ton of materials that you need to collect, but like your stash can only hold so much, then convenience would be stash. Stash is a convenience. It's not a pay to win technically, but it's convenience. If leveling is atrocious, let's say Diablo level 33, 35, something like that, becomes atrocious, convenience is bigger XP boosts, shit like that.
You'll have a single-digit percentage of your income coming from that, if you do both that and progress. Competitive advantage is good, but you can go overboard with it and have an unbalanced game.
Never. What are you talking about? Diablo Immoral would never do that.
Which is, if it's too clearly pay to win, people will stop playing.
And guess what is happening with Diablo Immortal?
Content, it takes a lot of resources and time.
I guess
to do that.
They skipped this slide.
Selling content is very expensive. Hardly any team can keep up producing content in the at the pace needed.
Yep.
This one I like a bit better. Hook Habit Hobby. This is a model from
Hook, the 99 cents 800% deal. Habit, keep going to the shop to claim your free shit. Hobby means you did it enough.
From Dimitri Dravano.
I think that's what it means.
Flare Games. It's a model for how people progress in a game. The hook is what gets you into the game to try out a free-to-play game.
Oh, I'm talking about the store.
Into a habit that you play multiple sessions every day, and then at the end, it's the hobby phase where people
just
see it as one of their main hobbies, and they
put
lots of time and resources into it.
Yeah.
Now, if we look at this from a monetization perspective, the hook is where you put up an icebreaker. You want to give a really, really good deal, something that's a no-brainer. You would be crazy to turn it down as a player.
800%
the reason
deal.
to give a really good deal up front is by making people spend up front, they are also emotionally committing to your game, their retention will go up. And the first spend is, it breaks the ice, then they think of themselves as spenders in the game. It's okay for me to spend in the game. Lots of people otherwise have this wall up. I will never pay for a mobile game. So you need to break the wall first. The habit is like the main meat of the game. This is where you sell the faster progress, as we just discussed. And the hobby is for the guys who have already maxed out. They're the guys who have all of their Clash of Clans building at the max level. They are already there. So you can no longer sell progress to them, you have to sell consumables. This is where you're selling the faster healing times or faster build times of armies. This is also where you get basically unlimited upper spend.
I got it wrong,
There's
but
no limit to how.
I think Diablo only sells habit then. Actually, let's see. What would players do once they max out on their gems? I wonder.
How much you can spend.
They can sell them hobby and like progress paragons faster, I guess.
Clash of Clans. So let's go down into some of these more
gachas.
Gachas. Who hasn't heard of gachas? Excellent. Most of you have. So gachas, they're named after gachapon, these Japanese machines, which are sort of slot machines that give you collectible stuff.
That's what it is.
On random, you get collectible stuff. But it's really the same mechanic that we have had in Western markets for collectible playing cards like Magic the Gathering for ages. You cannot, no matter how much you spend, you cannot directly get the card you want. You have to, over and over again, pay to get a bunch of random cards and hope that the thing you wanted is in there. Or then you like trade them somehow if there's what wasn't what you hoped for. These are great for again both monetization and retention because people like the lottery part of it. If you want to look up Skinner box to know why, it's really a lot more exciting, and you get more content because people cannot immediately progress to the stuff they want. They have to keep trying a few times, so it really takes like 5 times as long to get the collection that they need compared to just progressing and collecting soft currency and buying it straight off. Okay, then think about how you want to get to your millions.
Do
you go the king route of having a huge volume of players and a fairly modest lifetime value for each spender? Or do you go the machine zone route of having a very hardcore game that like 95% of the population is going to look like, what is that? But the 5% that actually do play it, they will spend a lot. Just know where you stand on this. Hot State. There's an excellent book about behavioral psychology called Thinking Fast and Slow. This is the fast thinking. I'm telling you that the fast thinking mode is what you want. The slow thinking is your analytical brain. What's 12 times 47? I'm sure all of you can answer that, but you have to start your actual thinking brain to do that.
You succeed.
Now, if I say, complete the sentence, bread and everyone thought butter. So that's the fast thinking. Our brain works in these two modes, and starting the analytical part of your brain is too much to ask for a spend. How it applies to games is make stuff immediately useful, immediate gratification. If you have a level-based game and you sell some boosters up front, for instance, a coin doubler or some other stuff that will help you, people will have to analyze and think it through. These things are good for me. These will help me progress before they do it. And they won't do that. If, on the other hand, you do like, for instance, in this temple run, once your game is over, save me, I have a few seconds to spend hard currency and I get to continue. Or similar in Candy Crush Saga, at the very moment that I've lost, I can see I just played a bit more, I can pass it. Make it immediately useful.
Fair enough.
Version.
Yeah.
This is
kind of like when you do a dungeon in WoW and it offers you extra loot when you finish it for money.
Are much more attached to the stuff they have than an equal amount of things that they can gain, which means that if I give you an offer, I'll flip a coin. If it's tails, I'll take 100 euros from you. If it's heads, I'll give you 120 euros. Who would take the bet? No one. No. We need more gain to offset the loss is felt more strong.
Fair enough.
We need like 200 against 100 loss. 200 gain against 100 loss, then we'll take the deal.
Approximately.
In games, you can apply this by giving people stuff that feels is in their pocket, and then threaten to take it away unless they pay up. This is, lots of level-based games do this. There are collectibles in things like Puzzle and Dragons. You collect along the way. If you didn't finish the level, they'll take it from you. Now, pay to continue a bit. Office and scarcity plays into the loss aversion. If there are rare cards up here, and you see the goblin going with his clocks, tick-tock, I'll take it away from you, I'll take it away from you.
Yeah.
They are scarce, they go away. This is a brilliant way to get more.
Scarcity and like fear of missing out.
Subscription, does anyone...
do they have... Yes, they have fear of missing out as well, with those one-time chests.
I recognize the guy. He's the builder from Clash of Clans. The point of this is the builder has a very specific way of working. If you spend your hard currency on this guy, you will only get the benefit from him if you then keep coming back to the game very often. So it drives both retention and monetization. Build stuff that makes people come back to your game a lot in order to get the value out of that. The IKEA effect. This is to say, stuff that we put work into, we value more highly. IKEA really sells you cardboard stuff. It's shit. But you value it still somehow slightly higher because you actually built it yourselves.
Yeah.
The model over here is from a psychology book called Hooked, How to Build Hooking Products. This is how we build habits.
How do you put that into Diablo? Would that be just character progression? Like you work on the character, so you're more attached to it? Would that count?
There's a trigger to remind us to do something, then we go do an action, we get the variable reward, just like the gachas, we get the lottery ticket, and then to really hook it down, we need to ask people to do something for us, do a little bit of work, because then they become emotionally attached to that. And then we set up the next trigger, either internal or...
Would that work for the seals that you buy and whatever the consumables for the dungeon? Would that be it? So you bought the consumables, but then you have to do work with them to get the rewards. Would that count as the IKEA effect then?
External
I'm changing the meaning a bit, I think,
really
when I'm
a notification in our case. Internal to that people have in their minds that, you know, I started building that tower, or I planted pumpkins. That means I need to come back in 8 hours.
Okay, so that's what it means. I don't think Diablo has that. It's like I see what he means now. Something to come back to. Yeah, I don't think there is. The only thing I would say, Diablo, I don't think it does it, but it's like there are games that have like timer on their stores. So for example, every 1 hour it refreshes the store. So it's like you want to buy something, and like you look, it's like, oh, it's not it, and then you leave and you come back in an hour to see if it's up and whatever, and then you get...
So that's the trigger, and then we go round and round. And
yeah, that's cool.
Anchoring is fun. Anchoring means that when we don't know the price of stuff, the first price we hear suggested for it becomes our anchor, and then we compare everything to that. For instance, an iconic example, black pearls. Black pearls, when they first came on the market, no one wanted them because they're dull and black and don't look very nice. The guy who had them told his summer trainee or whatnot to just dump the price of them and get rid of them. The summer trainee understood it wrong and actually hiked the price by 50% or 100%. And then suddenly they became these objects of desire.
Yeah, that's cool actually.
Special, I think, is
what
this.
A nice mistake.
If I ask all of you to write down the last 2 digits of your social security number, and then I have an auction, like imagine this is a fancy bottle of wine, and you get to bid on auction here. The people like me, my last 2 digits in my social security number are 99. I'd bid a higher price on this than the guys who have like 10 or 05. Just because I wrote down a high number on a paper will anchor my thinking on what goes next. So how to use this in a game.
That's weird.
Some games, immediately when you're in the tutorial, they suggest to you, you should buy this good IAP for 50 euros or something like that. I go like, oh, that's expensive, I'll never do that. Of course,
the value.
No. And I expect them to say no. Then again, I come back like... a few sessions later and suggest they buy it for 15. And I'll say, that's a good value, because my anchor was at 50.
Yeah. Which is kind of what Blizzard is doing with the percentages, right? It's like 800% value. You don't know what you're comparing the value to, but it tells you that there's a higher value on this compared to others. So they went in reverse a bit. Instead of like discounting stuff later on, they're doing that instead.
So this is, we are herd animals, we tend to do what all the others do. You all sit quiet listening to me, because that's what all of the other guys do here. So, especially when people are similar to us. This
I love this experiment.
You should have, the socially accepted way of behaving in your game should be paying. You want to tell people, for instance, when a clan member of theirs spend IAP money, you want the whole clan to know, because then that becomes the socially acceptable way of behaving. You absolutely do not want to tell them that the majority of people in your game never spend money. That's poison. Never tell them that. Availability means that the stuff we hear a lot about is the stuff...
This was like, I was used to play this game called Wartune, and they did that. every time someone bought something and they got something, you would get a massive notification in the middle of your screen. It's like, this guy just got this from this thing, right? And it's like, you want to see that people are spending money, so it's normal to spend money in this game. Stuff like that.
We judge as likely to happen.
I guess
this, for instance,
Diablo Immortal's way of doing it is people demolishing other people in PvP.
Can tie into gachas. If there are rare gachas, not every player will see them every session. That's like the definition of rare. Which means that they will think that it's not likely to happen that they get one of those, which means that you should tell them about it, which means every time a clan member gets one of the rare things, you should broadcast it to all of the others. Like, your friend got this rare or legendary thing.
There it is.
Then they will judge it more likely. The right amount of choice. This is a famous jam experiment. They put up a stall in a supermarket with 20 different jams. You know, have a taste here. Then you have a discount. Go buy some. And then they had a control group who had only 5 jams to taste. Now, for the one with 20, a lot of people stopped by and tasted the jams. But for the one with 6, a lot more people bought. Because they know that that's the best one. That's the one I want. If there are 20, there's too much choice. We just get anxious.
Okay,
we choose
fair
nothing.
Enough. Would that work? Where was this in Diablo Immortal with choices? I don't think they did a play on choice, to be honest. Yeah, no, nothing comes to mind.
There's a bunch of data on this, that whales take longer time to convert. This is just another reminder for you to have content for a bloody long time. The core loop go through the store. Have an example, hill climb racing, because it's so fantastically minimal and nice. You do your action, your in-game, your core game there, and you go straight into the meta game where you do the upgrades, and then back there. So the loop always goes through the meta stage where your store, where you're spending money. Labeling technique, I haven't seen this actually done in a game, but it's interesting. It should work. If we tell people they are a certain way, if we compliment them on being nice, good citizens, they are more likely to behave as nice, good citizens. So you should actually tell your players that they are generous individuals who have a taste for good art and
that's definitely not Blizzard.
To support their
Blizzard
game
shits on its community, so it's fine.
IAPs. Related to that, also, telling people the reason to do something makes them much more likely to actually follow through and do that. Spend because reasons. The reasons don't even have to be that good in order for this to work. And last, here are remember, there are 4 ways of progressing in games in general. You can have a skill-based game, you can have a luck-based game, you can have a game where you just progress by grinding, or you can pay to progress. Make sure that your games aren't too skill-based. I made that mistake myself. A too skill-based game, you don't get people to pay you, because there's no reason to. So make sure grinding and paying are legitimate versions of progressing in the game. Thank you, that's it. A few questions.
Make sure players understand that grind and pay are options. They are, and the pay is usually a better option. Okay, so this one is in so let's see, skill. Yeah, to an extent, Diablo Immortal has that. Luck, the drops, grind, definitely a thing in Diablo Immortal, and pay to skip the grind is definitely a thing.
Any questions at all? No? Okay, well, thank you very much.
Yes?
Thanks.
No? Maybe so? No? Well, get to work then!
I'll give one more in case you have questions.
Hemingway?
Reciprocity is a very, very strong mechanic. If I give something to you, if you give something to me, I feel obliged to give something to you.
Yes.
To trigger that, however, we need...
This is a trick from Pickup as well. People trust you more if you trust them, or like people are more likely to give you something if you give them something. So a lot of times if you're hitting on a girl or whatever, like let's say you have a scarf and you're like put the scarf on them, tell them like hold on to this for me for a second while I go to the washroom or something. I'll be right back, and like they will tend to trust you more because you left something with them.
Criteria. The gift needs to be unexpected, personal, and significant. It can't feel like something I gave to everyone.
Yeah.
Which makes this a real challenge to do as part of the game. But I think you can incentivize your players to trigger reciprocity between each other. But that's a challenge for you guys. Thank you.
Vanessa, he knows the answer. Yeah. Alright, so this is the video that basically everyone is kind of referring to when they talk about the monetization of Diablo Immortal. I would say aside from two things, that one of them I'm not too sure about, pretty much everything here hits the spot, but this is also a very generalized way of thinking about the monetization, not as specific. Morality of it is, look, honestly, I get it. They need to make money, and the way mobile games work, I tend to be more okay with some monetization practices. The main reason I don't like it in Diablo Immortal is because, first of all, Diablo, like Blizzard, in my opinion, has a higher standard than what they're doing. But second of all, they are way too aggressive, and the gap between the pay to win and the free players is way too big. If the gap wasn't that big, would they make as much money? Probably not, but at least it would be a dignified-ish mobile game. For example, the main problem with that is because it's an action game, so it's like you have to always, like, you're actually actively playing it, so it feels really bad when you're actively playing and there's nothing you can do. Take stuff like Raid Shadow Legends, Summoner's War, stuff like that. Those games, in my opinion, because you're not really actively playing, a lot of your characters, like a lot of your gameplay, revolves around making the characters, making the stars, summoning the right monsters, combining and all that stuff. That's where a lot of your gameplay is, and everything else is automatic. So you losing to someone else doesn't feel as bad because they could have just put more effort. They could have known better, like the combinations of monsters. They might have just gotten lucky. Like, you can rationalize it in many different ways aside from saying, oh, it's pay to win. There's a lot of free builds that you can get just by playing a lot that will beat a lot of pay to win players. Will you be number one? No, but rune wise and stuff, you can get very high runes and like very high gear, enough to compete on a decent level against people who pay. Not the top people who play, but against many people who pay, you can technically beat them in the game. And PvP, I would say, is not even the main aspect of the game, so it doesn't even matter that much. It's mostly like the raids and the the raids in the game, the guild dungeons, the boss dungeons, stuff like that. And those ones, totally easy to get, them done freely, right? In Diablo, because you're also actively playing and there's nothing you can do with your skill, you can be the most skilled Diablo 2 player and you would not beat a complete noob who spent money, you know, because he just he outgears the content, he outperforms everything. And like your skill, it means like the whole game revolves around your skill of the play, and doesn't feel good. Same with, like, I was playing this game HIT, HIIT, I believe it was called, or HIT, this like years ago. And that game can have it has auto mode and has an action mode. Action mode is like you play the actual dungeon, and yeah, like when I play the actual dungeon, I can do, like, let's say I was like level 80, the auto could do like a level 82. But when I actually play it and like have control over the character, I could do like level 85 dungeon. But the problem is I couldn't do an 86 because, like, at some point, like, your skill is just not enough. You can be the best player in the game, your skill is not enough. Like, you just get one shot, you get like overwhelmed, the monsters spawn too fast and you can't keep up with the DPS. But if you were paying, you can. I didn't feel as bad in hit because like the competitiveness of it is not as big. The PvP was totally unbalanced, but not as bad as like, it wasn't as bad as Diablo Immortal, but you know, it's hard to compare. I haven't played that enough, you know, to actually say if Diablo Immortal is more or not. Also didn't play Diablo Immortal enough to actually compare them. Just from what I've seen of people like week 1 PvP and hit, I played it like when it wasn't even new anymore, and I was doing a lot better in hit PvP than I would do in Diablo Immortal as a free-to-play. Yeah, so this is the video that everyone's talking about. Let's go whaling, and now we're gonna watch a Diablo Immortal video. How appropriate. I'll see you on the next one.